today, Monday, November 16th. Please join me for a pledge of allegiance at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I hope everybody's doing well this evening and staying safe and obviously staying healthy as well. So, all right, let's get started. Just so 5 o'clock. So why don't we move up with citizen participation? If you have anybody at this time that has anything they want to bring up from the town or anything. Is there anybody out there that has anything they wish to bring up as far as citizen participation? All right, well, not hearing any. I know last time we had a question come up during that period during the citizen participation. So Chris, I know we asked you to reach out to look at town council and to follow up on it and the information that was asked of us. Can you report out on that, please?
You want to shut your mic off?
Wow.
Yes, I did contact town council Brian O'Toole. If you look at chapter 30A, section 20, 30A is state administrative procedures. Section 20 is meetings of a public body to be open to the public, notice of meeting. Under section C of that, for meetings of a local public body, notice shall be filed with the municipal clerk and posted in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours in or on the municipal buildings in which the clerk's office is located. Okay. For meetings of a regional or district public body, notice shall be filed and posted in each city or town within the region or district in the manner prescribed for local public bodies. For meetings of a regional school district, the secretary of the regional school district committee shall be considered to be its clerk and shall file notice with the clerk of each city or town within the district, and shall post the notice in the manner prescribed for local public bodies. For meetings of a county public body, notice shall be filed in the office of the county commissioners, and a copy of the notice shall be publicly posted in the manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours in the places as the county commissioners shall designate for the purpose. Now, also he sent me to 940 CMR, which is the Office of the Attorney General, section 29, open meetings, and it's subsection 29.03, notice posting requirements. And under item 2 of that section, it says requirements specific to local public bodies. The official method of posting notice shall be by filing with the municipal clerk or other person designated by agreement with the municipal clerk, who shall post notice of the meeting in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours on or near the municipal building in which the clerk's office is located. There's another item. It says, alternatively, the municipality may adopt the municipal website as the official method of notice posting. The chief executive officer of the municipality, as defined in Mass General Law, Chapter 4, Section 7, must authorize, or by simple majority, vote to adopt the municipal website as the official method of posting notice. Any municipality that has adopted its website as the official method of posting notice by another method as of October 6, 2017, will have satisfied the adoption requirement. If adopted, a description of the website as the notice posting method, including directions on how to locate notices on the website, shall be posted in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours on or adjacent to the main and handicapped accessible entrances to the municipal building in which the clerk's office is located. Once adopted as the official method of notice posting, the website shall host the official legal notice for meetings of all public bodies within the municipalities. Notices must continue to be filed with the municipal clerk or any other person designated by agreement with the municipal clerk. A municipality may have only one official notice posting method for the purpose of Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Sections 18 through 25. Either 940 CMR 29.03, 2A or B. However, nothing precludes a municipality from choosing to post additional notices via other methods, including a newspaper. Such additional notice will not be the official notice for the purposes of Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 through 25. Copies of notices shall also be accessible to the public in the municipal clerk's office during the clerk's business hours. So, as I had indicated at the last meeting, we have never voted to make our website the official site. It is just done as a courtesy for people to be able to review when meeting notices are received here, and we have the opportunity to put them on the website. The official place is the bulletin board outside the annex or the old telephone office where the municipal clerk's office is located.
Glenn, I would like to comment on this if I could. Is that okay? Glenn? Could I comment on this? Glenn? Okay, Glenn, your microphone.
Go ahead. Yeah, I got it. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay. I cannot believe the town administrator during a pandemic would ask Granby residents to go down to a bulletin board to view the agenda of a town meeting. That's totally absurd. I would like the, actually, I sent an email to the police chief, and I said, I would like the select board to approve adding the following sentence as item 18 on page 10 of the town administrator's official responsibilities. At a minimum, the town administrator shall post the select board meeting notice and agenda on the official website of the town of Granby. Now, why would you ask residents, many are senior residents, to get in their vehicle, to drive down to a town building, to look at a bulletin board, to see what the agenda is of a select board meeting? That makes no sense whatsoever. And I believe the police chief agreed with me. So I would like the select board to add that to the bylaws, that the town's website will be the official area where people would go to look at the agenda. Now you do it, you post the meetings there, and periodically you post the agendas on and off. That makes no sense whatsoever. You either, I think you should do it as a matter, all the time. You should post the agendas on the official town website. If you want to, you could also include them on the bulletin board for people who don't have access to a computer. Some people don't, but we're in the middle of a pandemic. To require people to get in their vehicle, to go down and drive, many times it's dark, to go down to a bulletin board and look at the agenda makes no sense whatsoever to me. So I would like you to change that if possible and add that to the bylaws.
All right. Well, Rich, first of all, that in response to what Chris was saying, was in response to what you were saying, what we were doing before wasn't legal. So that's why we had asked. That's why we had asked them to reach out to our town council to reassure that what we are doing is legal. So that is what we are doing is legal based on the information. And I understand what you are saying. If there is a better method to doing it, that's what this board will take a look at. And if there's a way we can do it in a better manner, that would be, have more access to more people. I'm certainly in favor of that, and I would imagine the board would be as well. So we have to look into it, see what needs to be done to be changed. Obviously, it sounds like it has to be a vote. If it's a change to the bylaw, well, that's something that will take a little time. But I know there's some bylaws that are coming up to be changed in hopefully the near future. So with that said, that's something we can take under advisement and look at it and go from here with that now. You did make some good points and some valid points, Rich, but I was just going based off what you had said last time. And that's why I had asked Chris, the board had asked Chris to follow up with town council, because he had made a statement almost saying that we weren't doing something that was legal. So that was my concern at that point.
Glenn, could I comment? It is legal. There's no question. It is legal what the town administrator is doing, but it doesn't make any common sense. So I'm asking you to add this to the bylaws before it goes to a town meeting and it gets voted on. Now, I would like Jennifer Silva to comment on it, and I would like the police chief to comment on it if they would, please.
All right, well, I've commented on it as far as I said, that that's something the board will take under advisement to take a look at it and see what the procedure is that we need to do. Like I said, I think you made a lot of good points with that, and I definitely think if there's another way that we can get more information out to the public, absolutely, I'd be 100%. And I also think that the internet and the town webpage would be one of them. There's other things we need to look at too, because not everybody has access to a computer and stuff like that. So I agree, and we should take action on it. But I'll ask if Jen will speak on it.
Do you want to mute, Glenn? Thanks. Rich, I get what you're saying. In terms of it becoming a bylaw, I will be completely honest, and I would not be in favor of that for multiple reasons. If we vote to have the agendas posted on the municipal website, that puts the board in jeopardy of being outside the law in case of a power outage. We could not post in the appropriate amount of time. I do think that it should be put forward as a best practice where we do post in multiple locations the same information. But I would not be in favor of changing the municipal website to our primary posting site.
Obviously, Jinda, if we had a power outage, obviously the board wouldn't be responsible for not posting it because there'd be a power outage.
That is not, I mean, we can double check, but I would probably guess that is not the case. Because we post on Fridays for our Monday meetings. If we had no power on Friday, Thursday, I'm sorry, we would not be allowed to have a meeting on Monday because the posting was not done in time.
Okay, I said you could also post the meetings on the bulletin board as they are done now. Also.
Correct, but if we vote to change to have the website being our primary posting, we must post on the website. That is the official primary posting. So if it's not posted there, it doesn't count, whether we posted it on every telephone pole in town. However, if we keep it the way it is, but choose to implement a best practice, then we can put multiples, but the way we post now would remain the same.
Okay, that's all I'm asking is the town administrator consistently post the meetings to the town website.
Yes, I am in favor of having it in multiple spots as a best practice.
Because what I'm looking at right now is a summary of the state law. It says public bodies must consistently use the most current notice posting method on file with a division. So,
well, Rich, in all the due respect, I know we have other things that are coming up, so I really don't want to debate this back and forth. So we will, we have other people that are waiting, and I want to make sure we get their time frames. And if we get in a little bit, we'll get a chance to we can ask the chief about that. But as we said, we did the follow-up on it, and that's something we'll take under advisement as a board and look at it. I think you just kind of heard from Jen, you heard a little bit from me as well. So we'll do our research on it as well, and we'll follow up with the chief too. And we definitely want to make sure that we can get as much information out to the public as possible, but we also want to make we do it in the correct way. So we'll continue to follow up on that in the near future. And then thank you, Rich, for bringing it up too.
Okay, thank you.
All right, just moving forward, for 510, we have the Conservation Commission.
Yes, Glenn, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yes, good evening, Jen, Glenn, Chris, and Jay. Thanks for putting the commission on your agenda this afternoon. As an effort for us to improve our efficiency, which has been somewhat delinquent, and timeliness for the benefit of the townspeople, the commission has undertaken 2 new initiatives. One is we'll be adding 2 new associate members, namely Mr. David Desailly and Kevin Shoemaker. I see David. I think Kevin's online as well. These 2 new associates will allow us to add a lot of flexibility and timeliness in performing the necessary wetland-related site visits. Currently, we're down to 5 members, Glenn. We were up at 7 for a number of years, and it's put a lot of strain on us personally to accommodate some of these tasks. I think adding these 2 folks will help out greatly. Number 2, we're also in the process of hiring a part-time clerical helper. He or she will enable us to catch up on and minimize our ever-growing backlog of administrative DEP required paperwork, and also real-time record and type up our meeting minutes. Right now, we really are having trouble doing minutes because essentially one of our members has to take time away from participating just to type things up. So we're in the process of doing that. That'll be funded out of our permit fee collection account, as we've done in the past, beginning in 2011, where we had June hard on for 2.5 years and Casey Collins until 2016. Since 16, we've had no administrative helper. And again, we're suffering the consequences of that right now. So again, this won't cost the town a penny because it'll come through our permit acquisition fees. Okay, so we'd be happy to address any questions you might have at this time on our initiatives.
Yeah, all I can tell you, Bill, is that I understand that piece you're talking about for many years, just being on the planning board, and sometimes not having someone there that's able to take minutes, or they're a board member who's taking minutes. They're kind of missing part of the meeting that's going on, and it's tough sometimes. It really is. So, and I definitely hear that, because I've been through that, and but besides that, I don't have really questions. I'll ask Jen if she has any. No. Jay, do you have any questions?
No, I agree with Bill. You hear me?
Yes. Yep. Okay. Well, there you go.
Okay, well, that's what we'd like to hear. Thank you so much, folks, for listening to us. Again, we're trying our best, and we're just trying to come up with a game plan to improve our system efficiency. Glenn, thank you so much.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, folks. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye now. Bye.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
are you appointing Mr. Shoemaker and Mr. Desailly tonight to the Conservation Commission?
I'll reach out to the other 2 board members, and if that's what they'd like to do, we can discuss that. I have no issues with it. I believe Jay just said he's in favor of it as well. But
I have no issues with it. Anything that, increases
Do we have the addresses of these two individuals? I don't have a problem appointing them. It's just that we
I
need,
think what we would need though is to have all the information from them, Bill, so we can actually, I think maybe our next meeting is the consideration that the appointment, so we can bring it forward and move forward with it. I think
Sure
we're
thing,
we're
John.
in favor of it.
Sure. If you'd be willing to do so, that's great. I'll have Kevin and David both go down to see Kathy to give them all their information. That's wonderful. I really appreciate that.
Okay, all right, thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. All the best. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, our next thing up at 5:30, it's about 20 after 5. Chris, do you have anything you want to bring up? Okay, yep. All right, well, in regards to departmental reports, does anybody have any concerns or questions? Jay, Jen, in regards to it? Jay?
No questions here.
No, I have no questions pertaining to the department reports.
Well, that time I'll take a motion to accept the departmental reports. Diane, Jen.
I move to accept the departmental reports.
And I'll second Jen's motion.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion in regards to the reports? All in favor at this time?
Aye.
Aye. All right, they are approved. I don't have time to go to maintenance warrants. Chief Wishart, you have a minute? If he's still there, Chief?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, not to put you on the spot, but I just kind of want to backtrack a little bit regards to what Rich was saying about the possibility of it becoming a bylaw. He says that you spoke to it. Did you have any information on that? Because your name was mentioned.
Yeah, so he had brought that up at the public forum for the bylaw review committee about posting it on the website, which, you know, and I do agree that the more information we get out, the better. But to Jen's point, I can see how that would be problematic to put that in a bylaw. I do think it would be great to get that information out to the public. And I agree with Rich from the perspective of it's nice to have that information. That's where I go to get it. And very rarely, especially now with the pandemic, do I walk by the clerk's office. So, but I also understand the legal posting requirements that Mr. Martin mentioned. So he wanted us during the public forum to change the bylaw. And so I suggested to him that he reach out to the select board because you had already approved the bylaws for, you know, as they were without that in there. So I explained to him that the only way to change that, short of going to town meeting and trying to change it there, would be to see if the select board would be willing to make those changes. Again, trying to keep any changes off of town hall floor, town meeting floor if we can. So that was what my suggestion was. Do I think it's a good idea to post it on there? I do. I do understand the posting concerns that it could be with power outages and things like that. So that was my conversation with Rich.
All right. Thanks, Sally. I greatly appreciate the input. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. I don't know if we have time, but I don't know if we can get through them, so we can't really want to start them, but we can do the maintenance warrants, absolutely. Would you like to speak to them, the maintenance warrants, please, Chris?
you have 4 maintenance warrants in front of you. First one is warrant number 80. This is the final one for fiscal year 2020. It's in the amount of $46,957.87, dated June 30th of 2020. You have warrant number 29, which is a bill paying warrant in the amount of $230,654.98, dated November 6th. You have a payroll warrant in the amount of Warrant number 30 in the amount of $445,231.13 dated November 13th. And you have warrant number 31 in the amount of $190,720.33 dated November 13th, and that is the payroll maintenance warrant.
Okay, thank you. Is in discussion regards to that? Comments, concerns?
Nope.
This time I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve fiscal year 2020 warrant number 80 and fiscal year 2021 warrants number 29, 30, and 31. I got them all. Okay.
Thank you. There's a second.
I'll second Jen's motion.
Thank you, Jay. Any further discussion after that? No? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. A little off topic, but Chris, have you ever heard anything from like the governor's office in regards to the budget? I know the governor put through his budget, and I saw something today that the Senate wants to cut it like 5 to 6%. Anything else? Are they moving forward with it or anything?
I received the governor's revised budget. It was around 4.6 million. Then the House came in with theirs, and they were within probably $50,000 of what the governor proposed. And the preliminary one that came through for the Senate was about the same. So they all three were about the same areas, and I think they were just going to be doing some debate. I think the Senate just started their debates. I think it was last Thursday, the 12th, on the budget, but they all seem to be about where the governor was putting his numbers at. I hadn't heard where anybody was trying to cut it by 5% or so. Unless the governor's revised was cut about 5%, maybe. Don't know. The problem becomes is we can't have a town meeting before we set our tax rate. So if we do get additional funds, there's no way we can appropriate. That's the problem we have. Unless we can find a way. The only other way we could possibly do it is to maybe meet out of town. And I know that's not a viable option that the moderator doesn't like. I know the town clerk doesn't like it, and I'm sure this board wouldn't like having to meet over in South Hadley or Amherst or whatever in order to hold our town meeting, hold a special town meeting prior to the setting of the tax rate.
Yes, to be continued. All right. Looks like we have a couple poll hearings to come up at this time. I don't know if caller number 1 is. Oh, there's Ken. Okay.
Hey, good evening, guys.
I see Ken now. All right.
Yeah, video. There we go.
Well, there we go. Okay. All right.
Lisa
Yeah.
should be on the call shortly as well for her Morgan Street petition.
Okay. We'll give that
We're
a
proposing
second.
a mid-span pole on Pleasant Street to support the infrastructure upgrades and the solar that's going on down on East Street, right in front of the Crescent Valley Apartments. We can't put it on the pole adjacent to that because of the amount of connections and cross arms that are already on the adjacent pole.
So is the pole right next to the one that's already there?
Yeah, it's going to be just about in between Crescent Valley and the next business before Dunkin' Donuts there.
Okay.
And it's going to be a pole and an anchor.
Are there any questions from the public? Anybody online that has any questions in regards to this? No?
Hey, Glenn,
Yes.
Dave DeRozier. The only concern I would have in that area, we have the sewer line in the town right of way along the edge of the road. If they could do like they did the other poles, vacuum excavate down if you're coming close to where our lines are. When you, instead of just drilling the pole in and breaking the line.
Okay, I'll make sure that note's on there for the line department.
Thanks, Dave. That's a good point. Happen. Okay. All right. Was there anything from anybody else? Okay. I'll take a motion at this time to approve the installation by National Grid of the new pole to be placed on Pleasant Street. Looks like at between pole number 44-50.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That one is all set. Yeah. Ken, are we waiting on somebody else for the other one? Right.
Yes, Lisa should be joining us momentarily.
Oh, geez. That was much quicker than I thought. All right. Yeah, we can work on that while we're waiting. Between time.
What's up?
What's that?
Are you all set?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Are you looking for a pen or
I am. My other pen just
would you
ran out.
like a pen?
I would like one, yeah. Thanks. I was writing so much, my other pen ran out.
So you need a minute or you all set?
No, I'm good.
We have our annual encumbrance letters. This is basically to pay for bills that were incurred prior to June 30th of 2020 that have not yet been paid subsequent to June 30th of 2020. It also is allowing us to carry forward special articles that were voted at town meeting that have not been completed at this point in time. So for the general fund, we have encumbering $823,018.53 for wage and salary accounts. We are encumbering $23,705.68 in expenses and $935,994.28 in capital and special articles, for a total of $1,782,718.49. Do you want me to read each one of them before we approve them, or? Okay. Then we have in our special revenue fund, we have $293.58 in wages. In our capital projects fund, we have a total of $2,936,874.30 in articles. In our sewer enterprise fund, we have $250 in wages. And in the ambulance enterprise fund, we have $13,934.08 in wages.
We'll accept a motion at this time for authorization to, yeah, I can spend the money. What do you want to do with it?
You're authorizing the encumbrances.
The governance over this year. Okay. All right.
I move to authorize the encumbrances.
I'll second Jen's motion.
Is there any further discussion?
Chris, I have a quick question. In the capital project fund, what is the 2.3 million?
That's the amount that was left over in the East Middle School Elementary building project.
Thank you.
And actually, that was the one we were talking about appropriating on an annual basis to offset the debt exclusion vote, the amount of taxes that to be raised to allow people not to give people the break. And just so you know, that number has increased by another 600,000 because the final payment from MSBA that came in September of fiscal year 2021 was 627,000. So you got about almost $3 million sitting there
That's nice.
that we can turn around and use to offset the tax levy to allow people not to have to pay for the debt exclusion.
Anything else? Anybody have anything else? No. Jay seconded, yep. All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. We have the minutes from November 2nd.
I didn't see anything in those minutes about our discussion of the chapter 61 land or a vote.
Jay, that wasn't that meeting.
According to my notes, it was. Well, maybe my notes are wrong.
He said that there's nothing in the minutes about when we spoke about the chapter 60A, 61A. Well, it was two. I think we spoke about it in two different meetings, so.
No, this meeting involved the green community presentation that Lil and Jay put for us.
Yeah, but also in that meeting, we had discussion about the 61A land and took a vote. That
I
was,
know
our-
we
Are you talking about the Kendall Street 61 AJ?
yeah, that was our last meeting, right?
No, I believe that was the meeting prior to that.
I know it was on the agenda for the meeting prior to that, but I thought
we did talk about two different meetings because there was concerns that Jay had at the first meeting and that we had you follow up with town council, then you brought that information back to us.
Lisa just joined on the phone for her petition, if you guys are ready.
Okay, well, give us a minute or two.
Yep.
So why don't we just research it and then we can postpone that till our next meetings, make sure we are accurate. Okay. I'll let them know. Jay, so it looks like it was on the 19th and the 26th. That's when that topic came up on those two meetings.
and we haven't done those meeting minutes yet, because I don't remember them.
No, we have not.
Oh, okay. I just remember it, but I don't remember reading it.
Okay. Kathy did check on it, went back, it was the 19th and the 26th of October, those two meetings there, it was discussed. All right. All right. Sorry, Jen, did you make a motion to approval? Or no?
I move to approve the meeting minutes for November 2nd, 2020.
I'll second Jen's motion.
Thank you, Jay. Is there any further discussion at this time? All in favor? Aye.
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 Just give it a couple minutes, then we'll move on to the next, say, poll placement, I guess.
Okay.
Chris, do you have anything quickly? No? Want to discuss?
The interim fire chief started on Thursday.
Yes.
He came in, he's hit the ground running. He's met most of the people. He said many of the call force were calling him and welcoming him on board, and he looks forward to moving forward with the department. So the only thing the board is going to have to do is appoint him as interim fire chief, and the ambulance director, and then we have to sign his contract.
Based upon that article that was in the news, are we gonna end up paying for 2 fire chiefs now?
I'm sorry, Jay, I didn't hear you. What was that?
Based upon that article that was on the news, are we gonna end up paying for 2 fire chiefs now? And if we are, where's the money coming from?
Yeah, well, that's something we'll have to discuss in the future. Go ahead.
That article, Jay, had to deal with the suspension that was imposed for the month of June of 2020. Those funds were for fiscal year 20, and those funds were encumbered as part of this encumbrance that you just voted tonight to pay for those wages. So at this point in time, no, we will not be paying for 2 fire chiefs for fiscal year 2020.
Okay, that whole subject is still to be determined by the mediator? I don't know.
Jay, can you repeat that? Yeah.
I understand what Chris said about the year FY 20, but I don't have the total things what's going on with that, so I didn't know what was gonna happen with FY 21 as far as the fire chiefs go.
Yeah. We don't know either, so.
To try and let you know a little bit, Jay, is the board had voted to terminate the fire chief back in July. At that point in time, he has decided to do arbitration in accordance with his contract. And at this point in time, I believe they are still in the process of putting together the members of that arbitration board.
Yeah, I knew that part was going on because the attorney advised me to recuse myself because of a possible conflict of interest. So I don't know the details of what's going on. I was just wondering about the money. That was my main thing.
And as of this point in time, right now, Jay, there is no shortage going on. However, if there is, there will be a special town meeting probably held sometime in the spring that we can address any shortfalls at that point in time.
Okay, I just didn't know. That's why I was asking. Worried about money, you know, I always ask about money.
All right. All right. I believe, Ken, was it Lisa that we're waiting for? She's on the line? She called number 2?
Yes.
Okay,
Can you folks hear me?
we can.
Okay, I am here.
Okay. So this is the second part of our public hearing for 545 to discuss another pole placement. You want to just give us a description of what's going to be taking place, Lisa? That'd be great.
Yes, it's on Morgan Street and it's near house number 5. It's actually, the pole will be placed somewhat in front of the property of house number 5. The homeowner there wasn't really crazy about the original placement. It moved just a couple feet. So it's kind of behind a tree and they won't look right out at it. And it wasn't much of a movement at all. There's a mark in the road and the stake. And we just kind of resolved that issue because he wasn't crazy about the pole being out there, but he understands the reason. The wires are very low along that stretch and trucks going in and out, even, you know, to do any construction or deliveries, whatever it may be, will always catch them. So we're proposing to put a mid-span pole to shorten the span length. It's right in line with the existing poles.
All right. So any questions from anybody, I guess the audience or the public at this time? Dave, any concerns, Dave?
With that one, no. We don't have any sewer in that area, and the other one, we just didn't have good locations on a lot of the laterals that come off the main.
Okay,
That's why I was mostly concerned with the other one.
all right. Okay, well, not hearing anything from the public. Entertain a motion to approve to have installed, allowing to be installed.
Sorry, I couldn't find the mic button. I'll move to allow the installation.
I'll second Jen's motion.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're all set. Ken, Lisa, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too, take care. People aren't here and they don't see you looking around at the different papers. It's like dead air. They're wondering what's going on. What happened?
Hi Patty, how are you?
I'm good, Chris. Sorry, I'm not really that familiar with the GoToMeeting habitat, so I mentioned that to Dave, but.
No, that's okay. Are you going to want to be made a presenter so you can share what's on your screen, your PowerPoint, or?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
How do I do that when we get to that point?
I will do it right now.
Oh, okay. So are you ready for me to jump in on this, or?
Just hold on one second.
Yeah.
Are you waiting for me? Oh. Oh, okay. No, we can couple minutes. I have a couple of things I got to sign still, so give me some time to sign it. All right. Now 6:01. Time to discuss our MVP presentation from PVPC. It's all yours.
Great, great, thank you. Glad to be here with you tonight to talk about, I'm just going to give a brief overview of the MVP action grant that you have here in town. And this is one of the deliverables that we had said we would give to the grant makers as part of the project. Oh, it's not advancing. Maybe clicking. Oh, there we go. Good. Okay. So there are 3 project partners, of course, the town of Granby, and you applied for a grant, Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant, with the Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. And the regional coordinator for the MVP program is Andrew Smith. And so most of the communication on this grant is through Andrew Smith. And then my agency, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. And my name is Patty Gambarini. So there's really 2 major elements for this grant. One is the regulatory review for resilience, thinking about being more able to adapt to the changes we're seeing in weather due to climate. And then the other side is has to do with a 2016 master plan that you developed and updating it with some additional considerations of resilience. So on the regulatory review side of things, you'll let me know if you can't hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. On the regulatory review side of things, this is sort of my bailiwick. I'm going to be doing most of the work on this piece. We had started some of this work under another grant, but given the uncertainty with the MS4 permit and where the Wetlands Protection Act considerations were going to fall with that, we couldn't see it through. So this grant, fortunately, allows us to pick up that ball and continue playing through on this. And so the major piece of work is on stormwater management and integrating sort of the consideration of new rainfall data that's much more updated than the 1960s or before 1960s data that a lot of our regulatory code refers to. And this is largely, and then there's a lot of standards for MS4 compliance, including the requirement that projects take a low impact development approach. We're going to be looking also at the permitting timing and process. This we flagged last time around, and there was quite a bit of conversation around this, that the permitting process needs to be aligned with the other permits that are required. We'll look again at the erosion and sediment control and see if those standards are working for you or where they might be improved. Another thing that was included in the proposal is a policy for green streets and green infrastructure. And this essentially just serves as intent on the side of the town to give consideration for green infrastructure in all public projects along roadways, municipal facilities, akin to what is in the what is in the stormwater management bylaw. And then the last two pieces are the subdivision regulations and zoning bylaw, and looking at sort of those issues within those other two parts of your code that contribute to impervious surface, and trying to look at what those standards are. The MS4 permit requires you to evaluate all of your municipal code in terms of the degree to which it allows for low impact development, encourages green infrastructure. So this will put you ahead of the timetable on meeting those requirements as well in the MS4 permit. So the process for doing this is we had formed a working group when we tackled this before. And I think Dave and Chris and Jay Joyce and Amanda from the Conservation Commission were part of that group. So we'll, either rekindle that group, maybe see if we want additional people. But the idea is to meet and discuss the updates and permitting timelines, work on those draft updates at each of those meetings, and then present to town boards, maybe as a group. I don't know if you do any kind of round tables with Zoom, but present that for comment. And then, because at least on the stormwater management side of thing, there's so much that is required in the MS4 permit, and the timetable for that is it has to be done by June 30th of 2021. The plan is to finalize that for town council review, and then bring it to town meeting, spring town meeting, so that you'll meet that June 30th deadline. On the other side of the work is the climate updates to the master plan. And it's really working through that 2016 master plan that you have, and the 9 elements or chapters that are within that plan to integrate those threads of major priorities, issues, and concerns that were identified in those scope of findings that we did through the community resilience building workshops. And that was, I think, like 18 months ago we did that. So it's really pulling those threads into the master plan so that you have actionable items within your master plan that reflect that latest planning effort within Granby. We're also including a community survey, and we've been talking about how we might do this, and consulting. We've got some emails out to people who do a lot of survey work to understand sort of how do we capture that idea of what people's experience is of changing weather patterns. And one element we are thinking of with this is in Agawam, we did this. It was just an interactive map where people could report where they were, experiencing a lot of localized flooding. So that may be part of the survey too. And then that can be turned into a GIS shapefile for use in many different ways. And so the other piece of this is related to the master plan, is updating any relevant GIS data layers to reflect that resilience. The process is very similar to sort of the regulatory side of things. Use a working group to really help make sure we're on track with what you want. Meet to discuss the priorities and concerns from that scope of findings that should be pulled into the master plan. Do that community survey so we understand, more fully what that experience is for people, and see if there's ways to wrap that in. Develop the draft updates to the master plan for committee review, and then present all of that work for comment and finalize that with town boards and any other stakeholders that make sense. So it's a really short timeline on this. It's a 1-year grant. We're here right now. I hope you can see my cursor. The presentation, and also this month, we want to identify who the working group members are going to be. Then in December, early December, so we're not mixing up too much with the holidays, have those first meetings of the working group. And we're thinking that these might be the same folks. There's a lot of interrelated considerations that would be good to have sort of follow through on the regulatory side to master plan. So it could be the same group. And these are staggered in ways that might make sense. So because we're queuing up the regulatory review to get to town meeting, you know, assuming that it will be in April, but you tell me if that timeline has shifted. We would try to front load those meetings, you know, December, January, February. So we work through the material, we figure out what we want to present to everybody, and then have council review and then be ready for town meeting. And on the master plan side, it's sort of, you know, the community-wide survey during January and February, and then bringing it together and digging in on meeting 2 and 3 for that task with the advisory group, then present to boards and finalize those chapters in June. And the fourth task is grant administration. And that's just every month doing monthly reports on the progress of work. The budget for this, there's quite a bit of match, but I think it's all doable. So the grant on the regulatory review side is $15,094 with match that comes from the working group, presentations, you know, such as Dave reviewing this presentation for you tonight. There's also a cash match, or, you know, I guess it's in kind, but it's paying for town council to review the regulatory updates. On the master plan side of things, the size of the grant is very similar. The match is slightly less. With the working group, the survey and presentations being part of the in-kind match that the town provides. And then the other two tasks, which are much smaller, you know, the match is really your time and Dave's time here reviewing the presentation, and then task 4, grant administration. And I'll work with Dave and Chris on that, and their time will just count as match. So this is a total picture. The total grant is $34,272. There's a little over $19,000 in match. So a grand total of $53,304. So I mentioned the working groups, the regulatory review working group, and possibly a separate, but it could be the same master plan working group. And here are some of the folks that we had identified in the proposal as possibly participating. I think for the regulatory review, you know, I worked in Belchertown on this, and they have quite a large stormwater advisory group, but they meet really regularly under the DPW directors. Sort of, he calls meetings, and they work on a lot of different stormwater issues. So it's a very savvy group. But we, you know, I would want to pull together a group of folks from town to sort of follow through on those 4 meetings with me. And then on the master plan side, maybe consider also like someone from the senior center or council on aging and the school board to be included. Oh, and you know, one other working group, possible working group member is someone from the business community. And I was thinking on the regulatory review side, that being someone who maybe is doing a lot of development in the community. It would be good for someone to know what's coming, especially on the MS4 permit side of things. So that is all I have right now. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Jen, do you have any questions? Jay, do you have any questions?
No, I'm familiar with that and what Patty has done in the past.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't have any. I want to thank you, Patty, for the presentation. I'll just See Dave, I think Dave is left. Oh, there you are, Dave.
No, it's-
Dave, do you have any questions?
No, I think Patty covered it quite well.
All right, well,
I
yeah,
do, can I ask one question? Just to get your sense of how, how you would see that sort of those last pieces of those two major tasks, like bringing it to the town boards. Do you do a roundtable, or would it be feasible to organize sort of a roundtable, if we're still remote, or, if we're in person at that point, of town boards to just sort of hear a little bit about it, but then really have a conversation about the regulatory review or the master plan side of things?
yeah, we've had roundtables in the past for different things. So again, I think probably nowadays it'll probably end up being a Zoom meeting, but as a roundtable type, same thing type meeting though, but just as a Zoom meeting, I would definitely think so.
Okay, great.
All right, well, that's it. And thank you again, Patty. Definitely appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
I hate to interrupt. Before you head out, Patty, do you mind if I just get, I'm Melina Bordeaux, I'm from the local newspaper. I was wondering if I could get a copy of the presentation, or if you don't mind going back to the funding slide. I wasn't able to write all of that down.
Oh, yeah, I can send you the presentation. That might be the easiest rather than take people's time now. Do you want to shoot
Wonderful.
me? Yeah.
Yes, I can leave it in the chat if that's helpful.
Okay, sure. Or if you want to shoot me an email, you can find my email on the PVPC website.
Will do.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Moving right forward here. Mr. Edwards, sir, talk about the forestry plan for Two Frame Park.
Glenn, can I ask one
Yeah.
question? John, do you want to be made a presenter? Do you want to present anything to the board?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I was hoping I might be able to load the map for Dufresne Park that I generated in hopes of using it as a discussion focus point. And so I'm looking at my options here, and I don't really see how to do that. And so I wondered if that might be something. Usually it's you click on the camera, I thought, but
I made you a presenter, John. All you have to do is share your screen, okay?
Okay. And how do I do that? Stop sharing my webcam.
If you look at the bottom, you should see a thing that says screen.
It does. All right. Okay, share. There you go. Is that right? That's funny. Goodness. No.
We're seeing your screen right now, John, okay?
Oh, okay, can you see me all right? I'm sorry, can you see me all right?
We're seeing what your screen is showing that you're logged on to. Log me in.
Do you have video as well?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, good evening. As you know, I was asked to generate a forest management plan and a Chapter 61 plan and a Forester for the Birds plan, all wrapped into one cost-sharing envelope that DCR made available through funds from the Forest Service and from Mass Audubon as well, I believe. The idea being to look at the park, look at the forested part of the park. You've got a 200-acre wonderful asset there, and 65 acres of it, as you know, is open space, recreation. The 135-acre piece that I sort of delineated is forested, and looks like it's been forested for quite some time. Wonderful trail system, as you know, that runs through it. I think I've been able to capture those trails, and I apologize for not being able to post the map. I had hoped to be able to do that, but I just don't see quite how to do it. I'm not familiar enough with this particular format, so my apologies. But I think the map is very helpful to anybody who really wants to look at what I'm talking about and where. Because if you know the park and you know it rises up from the kind of flat fielded portion rises up to a fairly nice high elevation and loops around in a loop trail that is really quite nice. And that area is suffering from mortality from gypsy moth, constant gypsy moth defoliation. And so you have dead standing oak. And all three of those words, there's nothing good about it. It does have some value in the sense that it's got a wildlife value. I won't diminish the fact that it does have some sense of a wildlife value, but it's got a lot of negatives in the fact that it's going to fall apart and it's going to fall down. And then you've got potential liability issues associated with the use of the park. And it's really a wasted resource in many ways. The oak that is dead now can be recovered at probably 50% of what it was really worth. And that just is diminishing quickly by year. Once it's really at a peak point of being able to save what's there that's still dead standing. You're going to lose more possibly. So my proposal, and it's fairly well outlined in the plan, is to propose a clear cut up at the top of that loop that would either include only the inside of the loop or part of the inside and the outside of the loop of the trail that runs up the hill, up over around, and kind of comes back down again by the dam. And so that would give you a viewscape that you've never enjoyed there. That would really be quite stunning, I think. It would probably be 12 to 15 acres in size. It would be limited by wetland impacts, your property boundaries, and your sensibilities to be able to do something like this. What you get if you do that is you get a revenue stream. You get an open space that's completely changed. You get to salvage the oak that is there that still has some value, albeit diminished. And you get a wildlife habitat that is really, Mass Audubon is really pushing the idea of generating these large openings for the purpose of migratory birds and other creatures that take hold of this landscape. And it really is a magnet for wildlife. And you actually, if you know the trails, walk across through an area that was cleared, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, where it was quite cleared. I suspect it was the landing where everything was drawn in and then trucked and driven out. But it's clear, it was quite open, and you can see what has happened there. It gives you a flash of what will look like 20 or 30 years from now. So it's really a very sound silvicultural treatment. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you loading that, because if you do look at the map, the more southern portion is really what I'm talking about. That wonderful loop trail that runs through there. And we're limited by the wetland. As you see, it's got a wetland signature in there that runs right down through there. It's a very nice wetland. The trail walks right along the edge of it and then through it. I don't want to disturb any of that. I think it could be thinned in there. The plan calls for really a full scope of management of the 135 acres. The clear cut would be about 35 acres total. So we're really talking about a quarter of the property, the forested property. So that's what the plan calls for. That's my best professional opinion of what really I would do if I were managing the landscape, frankly. Questions? Oh goodness, can you not hear me? This is impossible.
No. We heard you. Don't worry.
Oh, wonderful. It gave me small, and I can, my heart stopped pounding. That's a lot to take in, and I'm sure you have questions about. I'd love to do a site visit with people when we can find a constructive way to do that. I think we could do that quite safely, frankly.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to do a site visit so you can actually go out there and really see what you're talking about, what you think should be, cut down and stuff like that, and opened up the areas.
Yeah. It's a I would suggest a day that's cold enough so there's no ticks. The ticks are rampant with this warm weather.
Then a cold day it will be.
Below 32 all day, and that's all we need. As long as it's below 32, they're not active.
All right. I'll take the cold over ticks any day of the week.
Me too. So it's ambitious. Doing nothing up there will have consequences, and I just think that you're kind of up against it a little bit.
Well, and I think we do. I think we need to look at it, and yeah, right. I think we need to look at it, and take some action sooner than later. Because if we don't, we're just going to end up with bigger problems down the road.
Yeah, it's not going to get better. It's not the kind of thing that fixes itself.
Yep.
And the gypsy moths have been. You're not alone. I mean, I've got other clients in Granby that have the same problems. South Hadley. It's a problem.
How many? If you had an estimate, John, how many trees are up there that have to come down? If you could.
It'd be somewhere between 500 to 700 trees, probably.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's what I'm proposing is fairly ambitious. I'll be honest with you. There are economies of scale when you have a large scale timber sale, and more is more, I guess is the best way to put it. So you could do this piecemeal, you could do it in phases, but I don't recommend that. Particularly with the oak, because it's dead and it's not going to get any better. You've got oaks spattered all around that is really affected by this, and I don't have a good prognosis. As you rise up, that ground becomes more and more droughty. The oak is under more and more stress because of drought, and you add all of that defoliation in multiple years. It's just the perfect recipe for mortality for oak. Sorry, I don't have better news. I think you have a wonderful resource there. You have wonderful timber there. You could really make that a much more productive landscape. But I know that it has multiple uses, and so that's a needle that can be difficult to thread, I'm sure. But doing nothing does have consequences out there.
No, and I would agree. That's why I think we do need to take some type of action on it, and obviously also becomes a funding issue as well. And how do we do that? And
well, I think it's a net positive. I think depending on how much you want to do, you could be in the $40,000 to $50,000 range in terms of income from it. So that just depends on how much you let me do. Be honest.
all right. Well, I don't know. The other board members have any questions? Jen, Jay?
No, I have no questions.
I do. I was reading the report that you had sent, and I believe it indicates that you believe within the next decade we would repopulate the areas that we clear cut.
Glad you asked that. That's the whole purpose of the clear cut, is to create a new landscape that is populated by different trees, really the same trees, at 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 10-inch lengths. They come up, they spring out of the seedlings that are in the area, because you do have some, and the surrounding trees become the seed source for the rehabilitation of the landscape. The seed bank, if you will, that's in the soil is full of, it just has thousands of seeds in it. And once you take the top off that landscape, once you remove the shade, the sun it just explodes. And I know it sounds like magic, but it's not, especially at this scale. When you open up a landscape that's the size of a football field and running, some distance, the sun is able to get in there. It just explodes, frankly. And so planting is not a requirement. The temperate landscape here in New England is so, we have a gift, because just cut it. Just don't mow your lawn for a year and see what happens.
So. That brings up a question, John. So in going in there, clear cutting and everything is the idea is so the ground, because of the drought in the ground right now, and that's why some of the trees are, I would assume, are dying off and stuff like that, just not enough water for them. Would that can create a problem down the road again?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, in terms of what comes back and whether you have this problem again.
Yeah.
Well, none of us will be here when that's a problem. And I don't say that because I want to put it in the rearview mirror. I'm saying that because, it takes 70 or 80 years to grow a forest. And we're going to start at 0, and we're going to watch this thing, come into brushy rubus and probably blueberries, so dry up there. And the birds bring in all the seed, and they come in and they relieve themselves, and they just create this energy, this pump of seeds that are just, and the landscape's perfect for them. So they want to come in there, they want to raise their young in there because the cover is really, really dense, and so they have a protection for their young when they're fledging, as well as feeding during the non-breeding season, which brings in other things, which brings in raptors, which brings in, you've got all these seeds on the ground and all this food on the ground because these small plants are generating seed all the time. So you're bringing in the mice, which brings in the raptors, and it just becomes this very hub of natural activity. And so with the trail system you have and that elevation, you'd be looking right down over the park. You've got this open landscape that's forested with a background of green landscape that you guys all manage for recreation. So I think you've got a wonderful opportunity because of the elevation to create a viewscape, to solve a problem, to generate some cash flow, and to kind of wade into forest management on the park, which has been done before. So it's not like you're cutting new territory here. It's stewardship, and you've got a plan that lays it out for you. So if people have questions, bring them on. It's not like this is not done. You're in an agricultural landscape. This is agricultural activity.
Well, and I think it makes sense. Like you said, some of those trees end up dying off and things like that.
Exactly.
And then you get these windstorms or what have you, and then you get all these downed trees all over the place, and it creates a bigger issue out there and stuff like that.
They don't stand
safety issue at some point too. Yeah. All right. Well,
I also noticed that 2 of the 4 sections have invasive species.
Yes, they do.
What are those able to be eradicated? And if not, what is the probability of them spreading to the other 2 sections?
There is a probability that they'll spread. I think that the pond is the attractant for the birds that bring in the invasives, and that's just my theory. You're going to have invasives no matter what you do. When you create an open landscape like that, as large as this is, everybody has a pretty good shot at regenerating. And yeah, you're going to have invasives, but you're going to have so many other things that I think they're going to be minor noise. You don't have a heavy infestation. Could you manage the infestation? Yes, you could do a stump treatment with Roundup, which is a whole other bag of worms. And there's funding for that, but it's going to cost you money. And I just think it's because it's a park. You're going to run into problems possibly. And I don't like chemistry. I'd rather use the tools that I have as a forester to try to manipulate the overstory to open it up and manage it. If it becomes a problem, then maybe we could look at it. I mean, I think you have a bigger problem with barbed wire, quite honestly, than you do with invasives. But that's just because I've got a thing about wire and trees and wildlife, running into those poor things. And it's a small project to eradicate the problem. And maybe we could talk about that too. I mean, there's wildlife things we could do to enhance the effect of the clear cut with some brush piling, which is quite effective for habitat creation for small mammals and that sort of thing. Yeah, there's a lot we could do. It just depends on your energy, and I try not to tell you how to spend money, and I'd rather see you generate cash flow, frankly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all. I'm not hearing you.
Glenn, you're on mute.
I said a lot of good stuff, John. I was just reading the bottom of your email, and it just talks about the trees, that we have more trees now than we did 100 years ago. And I bet you a lot of people think just the opposite, because I would, unless, but a lot of people would think that there's less trees.
It's not intuitive. It's not intuitive. I mean, Massachusetts is one of the most forested states in the country. We're blessed with this temperate forest we have. We really are blessed.
And I wouldn't think that either, to be honest with you. I think it'd be more the Midwest and stuff like that.
No. Good stuff.
All right. Thanks
Very
again.
Good. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Much
Have a good night.
appreciated, John. Thank you.
You well.
Hey, Dave, not to put you on the spot, but yard waste, how did that go? It was last weekend, wasn't it?
Yes, last weekend went pretty smooth. Not as busy as the weekend or the time before was crazy.
Yeah.
But it was busy on the leaf side as expected. All the leaves are down off the trees now, but went smooth.
That's good. I'm glad that people took advantage of going out there, being able to do that. Good. Glad to hear that. It makes, when you approve those things, you hope that people come out and take advantage of it, and they do, and they did. So that's nice to hear. So old action items, we have the water main proposed project. I think last time we were talking about we were contacting South Hadley, right?
I'm going to reach out to Mr. Sear again tomorrow. Apparently, we have not heard back from them yet. I had requested that he contact Chris so that I was not having to be middleman and relaying messages back and forth, since I can't reach out to the entire board. And since Chris says he has not received anything, I'll reach out to Mr. Sear tomorrow to make sure that he received my email.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Jen. Follow up. There was something I think we missed, so we will need probably a motion to allow me to sign our contract with the PVPC, right? I just need a motion that gives me permission as the chair to sign off the contract with PVPC, as was discussed for the work. Yeah, yes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jay?
Yeah, I said aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Same
I
time, then I think.
Okay. Thank you. All right. What else do we have? Yeah, the interim fire chief and ambulance director contract. Did everybody get a chance to review this? Yeah. Jay, did you get a chance to review it?
What, the fire chief's contract?
Yes.
Yeah, the only thing that I had a question on was, what is his response time gonna be? Because I don't know if he's gonna be living in Pittsfield or he's moving down here. I don't know.
Okay.
Because he said he's got a 24/7 response time.
That's a good question. I know that's a, depending on where he lives, Pittsfield. And I think he said he was close to the Mass Pike, I thought. He said he's really rather close to the Mass Pike.
I just remember from his resume, it said Pittsfield. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember during the interview, I thought he had mentioned it was close to like to the Mass Pike, so that's, he wouldn't.
He does. He will be traveling down the pike from exit 1, so he would probably have about a 45-minute response time if he was at home when needed.
Okay. All right, well, we'll entertain a motion to approve the 2 contracts for our interim chief and the interim ambulance director contract.
I move to sign the interim fire chief and the interim ambulance director contracts.
I'll second Jen's motions.
All right, thank you, both of you. Is there any further discussion at this time? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
At the same time, Mr. Chair, would you like to appoint Robert Cherwinski as the interim fire chief and interim ambulance director through June 30th, 2021?
Well, I guess that would make sense since we're gonna pay him, right? Well, entertain a motion at this time to appoint our new interim fire chief and ambulance director.
I move to appoint Robert Cherwinski to interim fire chief through 6/30/2021 and interim ambulance director through 6/30/2021.
I will second Jen's motions.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Yeah, no, I have to mute it because you tell me to mute the button so you can talk, so. But then just as saying, I'm looking forward, working with our new interim chief. He has a lot of good ideas and I'm really excited to see what he can do for us and with the town and the fire department. Absolutely. Chris, do you have anything else? No? Is that a strong no or like no? Jen, anything?
I do, yes. So I know that it has been mentioned in our meetings, but I wanted to formally recognize that Chief Wishart has given us his retirement date, effective April 30th of 2021. I put it off saying it out loud for a while, thinking if I didn't, he'd take it back, but that's not going to happen. So we will be starting the search for a new police chief. In the meantime, Chief Wishart will be here, and I'm sad to see him go, but I'm interested to see what his new adventures will bring.
Well, I guess with that said, Chief, I'll open up the floor to you, if you will, or the video screen, if you, on that point, if you have anything to say, I'd like to say.
I guess the only thing I would really say is thanks for those kind words, Jen. That's nice. Yeah, I've had a great career here in Granby. Been incredibly fortunate to work with awesome people, to work for really dedicated and professional people who want to do the right thing. It's been my home both professionally and personally, and I wouldn't change anything over the last almost 30 years. It's been great. I've really enjoyed every moment. I think the town of Granby has probably had a huge mark on my life, and I'm really fortunate for the opportunities I had here. And we're really fortunate at the police department to have just a lot of really good people from the top to the bottom. And the police department's in great shape. Lieutenant O'Grady does an awesome job, and he's there. He can take over at any moment, and I have no questions whatsoever about my confidence in him, the other supervisors, or the rest of the department as well. They're spectacular people, and it's been an honor to work with them. So thank you very much.
Well, Chief, really just thank you. I mean, I think too, some of the comments you made about people, I think those comments would go right back to you as well. I think those same things definitely apply to you. And I can say that in a professional and a personal manner as well.
Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate that. Really means a lot.
You will be missed, I'm sure.
Thank you.
All right. Any other bad news, Jen?
He can take my place.
No, that was enough bad news for the day.
What's that, Jay?
It says Al can take my place.
No,
Yeah,
thanks.
look for a life and adventure. All right. Good stuff. All right. Anything else? Jay, anything?
Yeah, I want to update you on the green community, so you know where we stand.
Sure.
We're putting in the light fixtures in the second floor of the junior senior high school now. We got 87 done. We got approximately 380 more to go just for the second floor. Right now, we're just doing the vacant classrooms first. And the ones with the HEPA filters that are up there, we'll do them last, probably Thursday or Friday. So it'll give them more time to clean them before they go back in the classroom, regular classroom. As far as Dave's, I see sitting there. We were looking at putting in your heat pump next week, but with the short week being Thanksgiving, what do you think is a better idea to do it the week after Thanksgiving?
That's fine with me.
Okay. And on the junior, senior high school boilers, the pumps, the controls and everything else, that Energy Source is nice enough to reorder the components to match up with the advanced logic. They're anticipating that we should have that project done about the middle of December because of the lost time on the original materials ordered, and now they have to be replaced. So that's on the green community. At our last land use committee, I see Brian Hochschild has left. Him and Jim Tromke, we had a discussion concerning the 4 West State Street property of Irene Rapper that could possibly give us access to those other 19 plus acres of town property. Both Brian and Jim asked if the select board could formally turn that project over to the land use committee so they can take a look at it and see how much that land is usable or what it could be used for before give them more time to study it before they're asked to make a decision, because it'll go to them eventually. And they would rather have it sooner than later, particularly with the holidays coming up. So that's the request from Brian and Jim. And then the only other question I had that we didn't address at the last meeting was the police department physical training test. The one they wanted to be funded but weren't going to do because of COVID. Was a decision ever made on that?
It wasn't brought up, Chris. Well, we never talked about it. No.
Well, that's why I was asking, because we didn't bring it up. It was in the reading material, and everything else I was doing, I just dropped the ball on that one. You can blame me or everybody, I don't care. I don't know. I know we don't have to pay for work not performed. I don't know where we stand as far as funds for a budget. I did hear some good news tonight from Chris, in as much as we might have some funds available to defray any tax increase caused by COVID. But again, I realize that the town cannot create a budget until after the state creates a budget, because we don't exactly know how much funds they're going to give us. So I just brought it up. I didn't know if a decision had been made or not. For right now, I'd say we put everything off, and we're getting close, just as Glenn said and Chris said. And there was an email that came in tonight from MMA saying that the Senate's voting on the budget tomorrow. So that's my opinion is, let's find out where we're at before we figure out where we want to go.
All right, Chief, I think you wanted to say something. I don't know if we just want to hold off to our next meeting and then we can have all that information back in front of us. And then, go ahead, Chief.
So to answer the question, I had put forward a request to see if that was something the board would entertain. Since then, I got a response saying that that not to do that, and that if they were going to do it, basically it would have to be run. So we made arrangements to set it up in the fire department's apparatus. So that's scheduled for later this week.
Okay.
Didn't know, just try to close all the loose, Chiefs, that's all.
Yep, just wanted to make sure you had the information.
Okay, all right. With that said, is there anything else?
Well, it's all on my list, and I don't know if you two are interested in seeing any of the green community work when it's finished or not. If you do, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just report on the progress, and like Chris will tell you, there's going to be a lot of paperwork after this is done, and we're going to try our best to get it done by 31 December so we can qualify for next year's. But it's going to take a lot of hard work from a lot of different people.
No, I'd definitely like to see some of the stuff that's been done, Jay. And as you just pointed out too, a lot of time and hard work from a lot of people go into it. But definitely like to see that, you know, at the end, what that all comes out to be, without a doubt. Definitely it's improvements to our town and beneficial to our town. So I'm sure they'd definitely like to take a look at it. So when it's said and done and we can get out there, definitely, most definitely.
And for whoever's taking over the programs after I leave, I would highly recommend continue using Energy Source. I think if you ask Al, they did a real good job at the safety complex. And for them to turn around and reorder all the components for the boiler room and use the previous components at another job site and forget the $5,000 interface, they're gonna eat all that. I mean, I can't say much more than good for a company that they are.
Yeah.
I don't know if Chris has anything he wants to say about his interface with paperwork, but they've been very good to work with.
No, so like that's, hey, Jay, make a good point, and when you have a good relationship and you work well with a company, you try to continue that, obviously. All right, well, anything
Just
else?
one more question for Chris.
Sure.
Chris, do you need anything from the Energy Committee on the new library EV charges, or you can just file and get your $12,500? As far as I know, we're all done, right?
The only thing I need from you guys, Jay, is approval to pay for the Meta Grant services that were rendered. I don't know if you ever really accepted their final report.
Oh, the Catamus
Public
report?
Safety Complex.
The Catamus report? I'll put
Yeah,
that on
that
the
report.
agenda, the Catamus report for the solar on the roof.
Yes,
Okay.
you never gave me permission to pay the bill, so that's still outstanding at this point.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll put it on the agenda for coming up for this week, and we'll get that done for you this next week. Or is it this week? I'll check my calendar. Sorry about that.
All right.
Okay,
You good, Jay?
yeah, that should be good for me.
All right, thank you. All right, well, if that's it for our meeting this evening. I would like just to take a minute to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving next week coming up, and also have a healthy and a safe one as a holiday. I know there's some restrictions out there from the governor, but please enjoy yourselves and stay in good health and take care of yourself. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I will second Jen's motion.
Thank you. Thank you both. Is there any further discussion at this time? No? All in favor?
Aye.